Hey guys, Zot here, and welcome to another Top 10. In today's episode, we're going to be covering the top 10 abilities you should be looking out to purge or spell steal. If you're a class with purge, then you need to check this out. This list is in no particular order, so let's begin. First up, we have Blessing of Protection. You should look for this spell when coming up against paladins. All 3 specializations have this ability, and what it does is it makes you immune to all physical abilities for 15 seconds. This ability is extremely important to purge when playing melee, so you can once again deal damage and interrupt the target. If you're a mage and spell steal the Blessing of Protection, you can also benefit from the physical immunity for the whole duration. Next up, once again from paladins, is their other blessing, this time Blessing of Freedom, something again all 3 paladin specs have. What this does is it makes you immune to all root and slow effects. Purging this ability will deny the paladin the ability to either kite or maintain uptime on his target. As we see here, when ABX has his freedom purged by the enemy shaman, so his monk can maintain uptime. As with Blessing of Protection, spell stealing this as a mage will grant its full benefit, so you'll have some added kiting potential. Last up from paladins is the ability unique to holy paladins, Divine Favor. This is a PvP talent taken in the majority of matchups. What it does is it gives you immunity to interrupts for your next Flash of Light or Holy Light, whilst also buffing the ability by 100% and costing no mana. If this cast goes through, it will almost always undoubtedly top the target. Purging this opens up the paladin to interrupts, so if you're fast with your fingers, you can simultaneously purge and interrupt the Holy Light or Flash of Light. Doing so can set a paladin back considerably, as relying on the 100% heal is one of their tools to top their party members. Coming in next, we have the Mage offensive cooldowns. Each mage spec has their own offensive cooldowns. Fire has Combustion, Frost has Icy Veins, and Arcane has of course Arcane Power. All 3 of these abilities can be purged, each one providing its own unique buff for the mage. Purging this can hurt their burst substantially, sometimes being the difference between surviving or dying in that dangerous burst window. You also gain the full benefit of whatever buff you spell steal as a mage, so for instance if you're an Arcane mage and spell steal Combustion, be prepared to deal some ridiculous damage. Next up from mages still is Temporal Shield. What this ability does is it basically heals you for 100% of all damage taken whilst the shield is up, once it expires. Meaning if you're at 100%, pop Temporal Shield and drop to 20%, once the shield expires you'll go back up to 100%. When dealing with Temporal Shield, once purged it heals the mage for whatever damage he has taken, meaning if you purge the shield as it's about to expire, the mage will still get the full heal. This makes purging it quickly very important, as otherwise all damage you dealt during it will be wasted. However, in some scenarios it may not be worth purging at all, and instead racing through it, trying to kill before it expires. This also has the same effect when spell stealing it. It triggers the heal as if you purged, but you gain your own temporal shield for the amount of seconds left when you purge the buff. So always think twice before purging, however if you can get it instantly, always go for it. Up next we have Innovate. This only applies in some matchups where mana plays an important role. Innovate can be given to healers by balanced druids, and restoration druids can give it to themselves. Purging this in certain dampening matchups can force the healer to spend that extra little bit of mana healing through your damage, resulting in you having an advantage come late game. So always if you're playing a dampening comp, keep your eyes peeled for this one. Still with druids, our next buff to look out for is Thorns. You'll likely only see this if you're playing with a melee or a melee yourself, as what it does is it deals damage to you every time you melee attack the target with the buff. Purging this from your target if possible can help reduce a lot of damage, something to always look out for to help avoid that extra little bit of damage. Our 8th ability to look out for comes from Mistweaver Monks. This heal over time effect not only does some super strong healing, but also increases all healing whilst the buff is up by 40%. So getting this off quickly can really set a monk behind and topping the target, something to always look out for when up against a Mistweaver Monk. Coming in next we have Spirit Walker's Grace. This is an ability unique to restoration shamans that allows them to cast whilst moving. However, if removed will simply stop the cast. If timed right, it will act as a pseudo interrupt, as seen here when Dakroth looks to make an aggressive play with Hexed whilst having Spirit Walker's Grace up, only to have it purged and the cast cancelled. Last up we have Neverward, something all 3 Warlock specs can pick up. This ability reflects all magic damage and spells back at their caster, including magical interrupts. However, you can still purge it. So when playing a caster cleave, always look to try purge it quickly to allow the Warlock to be vulnerable once again to interrupts as well as damage. Okay guys, that was our top 10 list of abilities to spell steal or purge. As a quick extra, I thought I'd include 3 more that you may or may not see as often, but should still look out for. These are Holy Ward from Holy Priest, which is a magical buff that immunes the next crowd control onto the enemy Holy Priest. Spell stealing this as a mage can also make you immune to the next crowd control also. Shamanism is a talent that allows the use of Bloodlust or Heroism in rated PvP. Stealing or dispelling this buff on the shaman and his target can reduce their damage substantially, and if you're a mage, give you a little extra boost in damage. And lastly is Power Word Shield. Whilst usually not worth purging, in some situations whilst Rapture is up, it may potentially be worth purging the shield if the priest is caught into a stun. Alright guys, that just about wraps up this video. Thanks for watching and be sure to plus skill if you enjoyed.